Under every Soccer for Beginners video on YouTube, the top comment is some version of this. Okay, but what is everyone actually doing out there? And honestly, fair question. 22 guys, no huddle, no play call, no commercial break, all jogging around like they each got a different set of instructions. So here's my promise. Give me the next 10 minutes and I'll translate every single soccer position into a football position you already know. The quarterback, the corners, the middle linebacker, the goal line back. By the end, you won't be watching 11 strangers and you'll be reading a depth chart. In plain English, sorry, American. Let's go. First, the fact that makes this whole video possible. Soccer puts 11 guys on the field. Football puts 11 guys on the field. Same number. That is not a coincidence. These sports are cousins. They both came out of the same 1800s English game. One side wanted to carry the ball, one side wanted to kick it. They had a falling out. And 150 years later, the two of them are still arguing over who gets to be called football. Family. So the field already looks more familiar than you think. 11 on 11. You know this game. We just have to relabel it. But before I hand you the depth chart, one structural thing. And this explains 90% of what you'll see. In soccer, there is no offense, no defense. No units jogging on and off. The same 11 guys do everything both ways for the whole game. It's Ironman football. And substitutions? You get 5 for the entire game. And here's the kicker. No re-entry. Once a guy comes off, he's done. Imagine Mahomes takes one breather in the third quarter, and the rule is, that's it, hit the showers, see you next week. That's why nobody's sprinting every play. These guys are pacing themselves like it's a heist. And they need to. A midfielder runs 6 to 7 miles a game. That is a 10K at a dead sprint half the time, while somebody kicks at your ankles. Keep that in mind every time soccer players look like they're jogging. They're not lazy, they're rationing. Okay? The depth chart. We're going back to front, starting from the goal. The goalkeeper. The guy in the different colored shirt. He is the only player on the field allowed to use his hands inside his own box. American translation. He's your free safety crossed with a punt returner. The last man between them and 6 points. Except he's allowed to catch. Everyone else on that field has been told no hands their entire life. This one guy, exempt, dresses different, stands alone for 90 minutes, talks to his goalposts. It takes a certain kind of person, and let's be honest about what kind. This is a guy who volunteered to stand in front of a net by himself, while grown men fire a rock-hard ball at his face as hard as they possibly can. And then, if even one of them gets past him, the entire country blames him personally. Nobody well-adjusted signs up for that. Ask any soccer player why they don't play goalie, and you'll hear the same 3 things. Those guys are crazy, those guys are fearless, and those guys are not right in the head. All true. And every single team thanks God for the one beautiful lunatic who raised his hand. Think Troy Polamalu or Ed Reed. The center backs. The 2 big ones, parked in the middle of the defense. Your defensive tackles with a little middle linebacker mixed in. Biggest dudes on the roster, live in the middle, win every jump ball, and take it personally when anyone enters their area. Nothing through the middle, that's the whole religion. Think Aaron Donald or J.J. Watt, the fullbacks. And here we need a minute. There are 2 of them, one on each sideline, and they are fast, they play out wide, and they live on an island covering the other team's speed guys. They are cornerbacks. Man coverage all day, no help. But soccer? Soccer decided to name their cornerbacks Fullbacks? I know, same word. Different sport, opposite guy. Whoever named soccer positions did it specifically to hurt us. Just make the swap in your head every time you hear it. Fullback means corner. We'll get through this together. Think Deion Sanders or Darrell Revis. The defensive midfielder sits right in front of those defenders, reads everything, blows up plays before they start. Your middle linebacker, the guy whose jersey nobody buys, who quietly does everything, and whose absence you only notice when the whole defense suddenly looks lost. Every great team has one. No casual fan can name him. Think Ray Lewis or Brian Urlacher. The central midfielders at the engine room. They connect defense to attack, they touch the ball more than anyone, and they do the dirty miles. These are your 6 to 7 miles a game guys. They're the offensive line of soccer. When they're winning, you don't notice them. When they're losing, the entire team collapses and now suddenly everyone notices them. Think Joe Thomas or Walter Jones. Don't know who they are? That's kind of the point. Even hardcore NFL fans don't know offensive linemen. The number 10, the playmaker. Here's a fun one. Soccer shirt numbers used to literally be the positions. Number 1 was the goalkeeper, number 9 the striker, and number 10 was the franchise guy. Pelé wore 10. Maradona wore 10. Messi wears 10. The 10 is the quarterback. He sees the whole field, he makes everyone around him better, and that long pass that splits the defense and lands on a teammate's foot in stride? That's a post route thrown with his foot. When you watch a match, find the 10 first. The offense runs through him. Think Tom Brady. The wingers, 2 of them, 1 on each sideline, the fastest guys on the field. Wide receivers, word for word. They live on the sideline, they win one-on-one matchups, they produce the highlight, and they'd like a word with the play caller if they don't get the ball for 10 minutes. Every sport has this position. Every sport has this personality. Think Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, or Calvin Johnson. The striker, the number 9, the guy at the very front. He's your goal line back. The red zone specialist. He might touch the ball 15 times all game, and he gets judged entirely on 1 or 2 of them. His whole job is to be in exactly the right spot, at exactly the right second, and finish. And he does it all while flirting with that offside line, the one we covered in the first video. That's this guy. He's the reason that rule exists. Think Marshawn Lynch. And yes, I still can't figure out why. In the 2015 Super Bowl, Pete Carroll threw the ball on 2nd and goal from the 1-yard line instead of just giving it to Marshawn Lynch. Still not over it. Now, when an announcer says a team is playing 4-3-3, that's not a code. It's just the depth chart counted back to front. 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, 3 forwards. The goalkeeper's not counted. He's assumed, like the long snapper. A formation is a personnel package. 4-3-3 is your base defense. And when a team protects a lead by stacking 5 defenders behind the ball, they call it parking the bus. That's the prevent defense. And just like the prevent, everyone runs it and everyone watching hates it. Quick hits before the final board. A goal is a touchdown, except there's no extra point, and it might be the only score of the entire afternoon. 1 goal is a 14-point lead. Act accordingly. Free kicks and corners are special teams, dead ball, designed play, rehearsed all week. About 1/3 of all goals come from these. Never get a snack during a corner. The field is about 20 yards wider than an NFL field. That's why no one can cover all of it, and why the corners, the fullbacks, always look like they need a hug. And the clock counts uppy and never stops. Ever. 90 minutes, no timeouts, no 2-minute warning. Foul? Clock's running. Guy goes down injured? Clock's running. And then at the end, instead of just telling you how much time is left, a guy on the sideline holds up a little board that says +4, which means about 4 more minutes-ish. Roughly. Nobody actually knows. Not you, not the announcers, maybe not even the ref. It's the only sport where the clock is a vibe. Why not count down and stop it like every other sport on Earth? There's actually a real answer, and it's the whole next video. So let's put the whole thing on one board. A free safety who's allowed to catch behind 2 defensive tackles and 2 cornerbacks they named fullbacks. A middle linebacker in front of them, an offensive line in the middle doing the miles, a quarterback wearing number 10, 2 wide receivers on the sidelines, and a goal line back up top living on the offside line. That's it. That's soccer. 11 guys, every one of them a position you already knew. So this summer, when the US lines up and your buddy asks what he's even looking at, find the 10, point at him and say, "That's the quarterback." Congratulations, you're the soccer guy now. Next up, why the clock counts up, why it never stops, and how a game can just end in a tie. Subscribe, it'll be waiting for you.